Infection and Disease, Understanding the Pathogen-Host Interaction. In this session, we will understand this topic step by step. Now, let us begin with an introduction to infection and disease, focusing on how microbes interact with the human body. First, the pathogen. A pathogen is a disease-causing microbe that enters the body. This entry is the starting point of any infection process. Next comes the host. The host refers to the human body, which immediately responds using its immune system to fight the invading microbe. Finally, we see damage. If the immune response is unable to control the pathogen effectively, tissue injury occurs, leading to illness. With this basic interaction clear, we can move forward. Now, let us understand what exactly is meant by infection. First, entry. Infection begins when a microbe invades the body tissues through routes like skin, respiratory tract, or digestive tract. Second, multiplication. After entry, the microbe reproduces and colonizes inside the host, increasing its number. Finally, symptoms. At this stage, symptoms may or may not appear immediately. A person can be infected but still look normal. This distinction is very important in microbiology. Now, let us differentiate infection from disease. First, damage. Disease occurs when the pathogen causes harm to cells and tissues. Second, signs. These are observable symptoms like fever, pain, or rashes that indicate something is wrong. Third, dysfunction. Here a body part or system stops functioning normally due to the damage. So, disease represents the visible and functional outcome of infection. Now, let us clearly compare infection versus disease. In infection, microbes are present and multiplying in the body. The host may still feel completely normal, which means infection can be asymptomatic. In disease, the host's health is negatively affected. Clinical signs appear and normal body functions are impaired. So remember, infection does not always mean disease, but disease always involves infection. Now, let us understand the stages of infection, which show how a pathogen progresses inside the host. First, entry. The pathogen enters the body through suitable portals like skin breaks or mucosal surfaces. Next, establishment. Here, the microbe adheres to host tissues and overcomes the body's defense mechanisms. Then, multiplication. The pathogen undergoes rapid growth and replication, increasing the severity of infection. Finally, spread. The pathogen may move to other tissues or even spread to new hosts. Each stage increases the chance of disease development. Now, let us look at the sources of infection, meaning where pathogens come from. First, human sources. Infected patients and carriers can spread pathogens even if they show no symptoms. Second, animal sources. Some diseases are zoonotic, meaning they are transmitted from animals to humans, like rabies. Third, the environment. Soil, water, and air can act as reservoirs for many microbes. Finally, fomites. These are inanimate objects like doorknobs and mobile phones that can carry pathogens. Understanding sources helps in preventing infections. Now, let us understand the modes of transmission or how pathogens travel from source to host. First, direct transmission. Through physical contact, such as touching, kissing, or sexual contact, microbes pass directly between people. Through droplet spread, pathogens are released during sneezing or coughing and travel short distances. Next, indirect transmission. Through vectors like mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas, which carry pathogens from one host to another. Through vehicles such as contaminated food and water, and through airborne transmission, where microbes remain suspended in dust or particles and travel long distances. Each mode requires different control measures. Now, let us examine host factors influencing infection, which explain why some people fall sick while others do not. First, immunity. Vaccination status and immune strength play a major role in resisting infections. Second, age. Very young children and elderly individuals are more vulnerable due to weaker immunity. Third, nutrition. A balanced diet strengthens body defenses while poor nutrition weakens them. Finally, comorbidities. Existing diseases like diabetes or asthma increase susceptibility to infections. Host health strongly influences disease outcome. Now, let us look at microbial factors influencing disease, focusing on what makes a pathogen dangerous. First, virulence. This is the ability of a microbe to cause severe disease. Second, toxins. Some microbes produce poisons that damage host cells directly. Third, infectious dose. This refers to the number of microbes required to initiate infection. Finally, evasion. Some pathogens can hide from the immune system, allowing them to survive longer in the host. These properties determine disease severity. Now, let us understand the outcomes of infection. First, clearance. The immune system successfully eliminates the pathogen and no disease occurs. Second, carrier state. The person shows no symptoms but continues to shed and spread the pathogen. Third, chronic infection. The infection persists for a long time, as seen in diseases like hepatitis B. Finally, disease. Clinical signs and symptoms appear along with tissue damage. The outcome depends on both host and microbe factors. Now, let us understand the host-microbe-environment relationship, also called the epidemiological triad. First, the agent, which is the microbe. Its virulence and dose influence disease development. Second, the host, which is the individual. Immunity and genetic factors determine susceptibility. Third, the environment. External factors like climate, hygiene, and living conditions affect transmission. Disease occurs due to the interaction of all three components. Now, let us see why studying infection and disease is important. First, prevention. Understanding infection helps in developing vaccines and promoting hygiene. Second, control. Early diagnosis and treatment reduce disease severity and complications. Third, breaking the chain. Interrupting transmission protects the community and improves public health. This knowledge is essential for healthcare and society. Here, you can see a visual summary of infection and disease. The process begins with entry, where the microbe invades the host. Then comes spread, involving multiplication and movement within the body. Finally, the outcome may be health or disease, depending on intervention. Prevention works best at the entry stage, while treatment is crucial after spread begins. This completes the overall journey from infection to outcome. Thanks for watching.